Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This evening, I am taking the opportunity to introduce you to 60 iconic contributors to the development of our beautiful country, Trinidad and Tobago. They come from many spheres of life. Some months ago, we celebrated these 60, some alive, now gone, but their contributions still enduring. We celebrated their lives at the Hilton Hotel to a packed audience. And in doing so, we recognize not just their contribution to Trinidad and Tobago, but how far we had come in 50 years of independence. These people are significant people. They are not perfect people, but they have shown courage, they have shown endurance, they have shown commitment, they have shown creativity. Some of them have been innovative, and all of them have contributed in no small measure to making modern Trinidad and Tobago, contemporary Trinidad and Tobago, what it is today. All of them lived during our period of independence from 1962, and all of them contributed during this period. We hope that the viewing will give you an insight not only into their lives, but into their significant contributions.
Patricia Allison Bishop is an artist whose commitment to teaching lifted entire communities to heights of excellence beyond the boundaries of their expectations. She was the first person to conduct a combined steel band and symphony orchestra, and to merge classical European and indigenous music to create a uniquely Trinidadian sound.
Mahant Babu Bhuchan Singh was the embodiment of the struggle for survival of the historic Dao Village Ramleela Festival. For over 80 years, he carried the responsibility for keeping it alive and protecting the legacy for the generations to come. Without that struggle, persistence, and triumph, the proliferation of Ramleela in contemporary times would have been unlikely.
Carlyle Chang is an artist of extraordinary breadth, whose work is immortalized in the coat of arms and national flag of Trinidad and Tobago. He is revered by many as the father of Trinidad art, for having drawn his inspiration from the cultural mosaic of his country.
Harry Mahabir was the musical bridge over which Indian rhythms flowed and changed as it connected with the popular culture of Trinidad and Tobago. His interpretation and expression of Indian music helped to make it more accessible to all audiences in Trinidad and Tobago.
Beryl McBurney is a legend who danced across the stream of history and changed the culture forever. Almost single-handedly, she orchestrated the cultural awakening that brought the first steel band on stage, put folk culture in the mainstream, and imbued the independence movement with cultural confidence in the indigenous arts.
Sunilal Sundar Popo Bohora exists in the realm of legend as the breakthrough artist who brought traditional Indo-Trinidadian chutney music into the mainstream and laid the foundation for the birth of the new indigenous art form of chutney soca.
Alwyn Roberts, the Lord Kitchener, is the acknowledged Grand Master of Calypso, whose records for winning the most road march titles and for producing the largest number of winning compositions in the Panorama competition testify to his uncanny affinity to mass and the steel band.
Andre Michael Tanker drew on the many cultural influences swirling through Trinidad and Tobago to create an indigenous sound which he called Caribbean world music, confident in its power to speak to the world on its own terms.
Jacob Delworth Elder is a towering presence in the cultural landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. His field research, scholarly insights, and championing of indigenous culture helped to change official attitudes to the culture of the masses while assembling a trove of information and understanding for future generations.
Lloyd Algernon Best was a philosopher, social scientist who developed an original theory of Caribbean society as the basis for an independent model of development. His lifelong passion was to promote the Caribbean as a new world of possibility, drawing on the fragments of its history to create a society like none other.
Tubal Uriah Butler has been immortalized as the founder of the trade union movement of Trinidad and Tobago and a hero of the working class of Trinidad and Tobago for his representation of workers in the corridors of power.
Cyril Lionel Robert James was a philosopher, writer, Marxist theorist, sports journalist, and political activist whose intellectual contribution is among the most important of the 20th century.
Adrian Colorienzi combined the skills of a trade unionist, lawyer, and politician in straddling the worlds of oil and sugar to provide pioneering leadership in the quest for labor unity across ethnic lines.
Dr. Eric Eustace Williams wears the mantle of the father of the nation of modern Trinidad and Tobago. Over an unbroken period of 25 years, he led the government first as Premier of colonial Trinidad and Tobago and then as Prime Minister, guiding it from colonialism into independence in 1962 and to Republican status in 1976.
Dr. Rudranath Kapildeo gained world recognition for his contribution to the fields of applied mathematics and physics. But in Trinidad and Tobago, he is respected as the son who brought his talents home as the first leader of the opposition who showed strength as well as the ability to compromise in the framing of the 1962 Constitution and the achievement of national independence.
Dr. Sylvan Bowles was the gift that kept on giving to the people of Tobago, where his generosity is immortalized through the Sylvan Bowles Scholarship Fund for the educational development of generations of children.
Ranjit Kumar is an adopted son of the soil whose multifaceted contributions to national life have had an enduring impact. He pioneered the distribution of Indian movies in this country, planned, designed, and constructed the Ryson Road dual carriageway, and had a successful career in local government politics.
Roy Gilbert Nehall was a respected moderator of the Presbyterian Church, who was the first senator to be appointed to represent religious views in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. He was also an influential figure in the ecumenical movement among Christian churches and a foundation member of the Caribbean Council of Churches.
Apostle Turnell J. Nelson is a pioneer televangelist who guided the Pentecostal community of Trinidad and Tobago over a dynamic period of development and expansion. Under his guidance, the church engaged in strong crusading activity, setting up tents and building churches throughout the country.
Anthony Gordon Panton made history as the first national of Trinidad and Tobago to be appointed to the position of Roman Catholic Archbishop of Port of Spain. He was a loved and respected spiritual leader who actively engaged in social mediation during times of crisis.
Haji Sheikh Mohammed Shafiq Rahman is a visionary Muslim leader and entrepreneur who made an enduring impact in both religion and business in Trinidad and Tobago. He is credited with starting the first ASJA primary schools and acquiring denominational status for its colleagues. He was also the strategic mind behind the Rahmat group of companies.
Patrick David Choco Chocolingo was an innovative newspaper editor and entrepreneur whose unconventional approach to news had earned him the mantle of the godfather of weekly journalism. His daring and irreverent style sealed his reputation as one of the architects of press freedom in the Caribbean.
Sir Ellis Emmanuel Innocent Clark was the last Governor General of independent Trinidad and Tobago and the first President of the Republic. His contribution to constitutional development and reform has earned him recognition as the architect of Trinidad and Tobago's independence and republican constitutions.
Larry Nicholas Constantine was a cricketing legend who crossed the boundaries between cricket, politics and race, and changed the course of British history by his legal challenge to racial discrimination. Respected for his cricketing prowess and dignified intelligence, he rose into the ranks of British nobility as the first black peer in the House of Lords.
Sir Solomon Hotroy made history when he broke the colour barrier to become the first person of colour to be appointed governor in any colonial British territory and the last British governor of the colony of Trinidad and Tobago. The announcement of Sir Solomon's appointment reverberated throughout the British Empire, making headlines in places far beyond the Caribbean.
Noor Mohammed Hassan Ali was the second President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and holds the distinction of having served under two different political administrations. He also made history as the first Indo-Trinidadian to hold the office of President of Trinidad and Tobago and the first Muslim head of state in the Americas.
Hugh O.B. Wooding was a legal colossus who bestrode the Caribbean. He was the first Chief Justice of independent Trinidad and Tobago, the first West Indian to sit on the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, and the first West Indian to be named Chancellor of the University of the West Indies.
Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robinson holds the unique distinction of having served as both Prime Minister and President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. He is also the only Tobagonian to have held either of these offices. During the attempted coup of 1990, he showed extraordinary strength and patriotism.
Helen Bhagwan Singh is a business philanthropist who single-handedly transformed the family store into a commercial empire and blazed a trail for women in business while supporting critical research in public health.
Mailing Esau fashioned a Caribbean aesthetic out of the fragments of culture thrown together by Caribbean history. From the presences of Europe, Africa, and Asia in America, she has created a distinctive look that is as clean and defined as Caribbean surf on a sunny day.
Sydney Knox is a founder of the modern Caribbean conglomerate and a preeminent member of the indigenous business class whose name echoes across the Caribbean as a symbol of free market enterprise.
Robert Montano is a visionary leader who pioneered the development of the Point Lisas industrial estate, led the effort that launched the iconic Naparima Bowl, and initiated the South Chamber of Commerce as an agency of southern and national development.
Anthony Norman Sabga is a self-made business titan whose journey began as a child in a strange new land and broke every barrier on his way to success. His achievements span the Caribbean through a network built from enterprise, hard work, and the self-confidence to take the right risks.
Robert Theophilus York engineered buildings and shaped lives as he scaled heights of achievement, carrying with him a long line of people into the engineering profession while exploring business horizons beyond it. Armed with extraordinary self-confidence and ever mindful about the road he had traveled from Tobago, Robert York opened as many doors for others as he did for himself.
Colin Laird revolutionized the design of public spaces in Trinidad and Tobago by transforming the art of architecture into an act of democratic inclusion. In places throughout the Caribbean, his designs stand out for the ways in which they welcome people, encourage engagement, sit easily with the land, and invoke harmony of purpose.
Dr. Stephen Blizzard is a pioneer and global authority on aviation medicine who holds the distinction of having presented the first paper in this field in the Commonwealth Caribbean and whose experience guides flying surgeons around the world.
Professor Anil Kokaram is an Academy Award-winning engineer and software developer whose work revolutionized the post-production process in movies to help produce the spectacular visual effects in some of today's biggest box office hits.
Mark Owen Batiste is a journalist, author, and media entrepreneur who helped define the shape of national journalism in post-independent Trinidad and Tobago. He was a publishing pioneer who recognized from early the potential of news for content creation.
Sheila Prince is a living testimony of the power of one to change lives, build communities, and protect the national heritage. From the vantage point of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, she has reached out and touched hundreds of young people, giving each the chance for change.
The Abdul Aziz Trust is the inspiring legacy of Imam Abdul Aziz, a Muslim leader of central Trinidad who, guided by the principles of Islam, laid the foundation for community development through education, knowledge, and sharing.
Edwin Wilberforce Carrington journeyed from the beautiful seaside community of Palatuvier on Tobago's north coast to become the Caribbean community's leading diplomat. As Secretary General for 18 years, he guided CARICOM and defined its place among the regional blocs of the world during a period of major global change.
Justice Philip Louis Ulrich Cross is probably the most decorated West Indian squadron leader of World War II. For his keenness and devotion to duty and exceptional navigation ability, he was awarded the Distinguished Service Order, DSO, and the Distinguished Flying Cross, DFC, by the Royal Air Force.
The National Council of Orisha Elders marked a watershed moment in the history of Trinidad and Tobago when it emerged as the umbrella organization for representative groups of the Orisha faith. The moment marked a triumph over long years of battling for respect, recognition, and an equal place among the nation's table of faiths.
The Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha is the major Hindu organization in Trinidad and Tobago, with over 150 mandirs and over 50 schools under its stewardship. Foremost on its agenda is education and the advancement of the Hindu faith and community. Slinger Francisco, the Mighty Sparrow, is a revered entertainer who is universally celebrated as the Calypso King of the world for his legendary body of work, his impact on the art form, his unrivaled international appeal, and enduring star power. Among his peers, he is respected for his stand in defense of Calypsonians.
Geoffrey Holder is a gifted artist whose extraordinary assortment of talents has earned him the respect and admiration of people around the world. His credits include dancer, choreographer, actor, painter, writer, director, vocalist, and voice artist.
Ray Holman has an assured place among the all-time greats of steel band arrangers and composers. He has enjoyed extraordinary longevity at the top of his game and holds the distinction of being the only arranger among the current crop to have participated in the very first Panorama competition in 1963.
Earl Lovelace celebrates the music of the Trinidad idiom in novels that assert the literary validity of the lives of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. For over 50 years, this award-winning writer has maintained a running relationship with the Society in language that it understands by heart.
Elliot Ellie Manette stands in the pantheon of Pan as the father of the modern steel band for his scientific breakthroughs that changed the course of music history. Throughout a life dedicated to Pan, he has consolidated the science and pedagogy of the pan making and tuning process.
Vidyadhar Suraj Prasad Naipaul is a world-acclaimed writer and the first Trinidad-born person to be honored with the award of a Nobel Prize. Hailed as one of the finest writers in the English language, Sir Vidya drew deeply from his observation and understanding of Trinidad society for the early works of fiction that brought him literary respect and fame. A House for Mr. Biswas, his fourth published book, is regarded as a 20th century masterpiece.
Horace Ove has written his name into the history books as the first black British filmmaker to direct a feature-length film, bringing to his work a sensibility chiseled out of his experience of growing up in Belmont, Trinidad.
Mango Patasar is an internationally celebrated musician who has created a unique genre of world music that draws on all the elements of the musical culture of the Caribbean. His life's work has been a complete dedication to music.
David Rudder is hailed as the poet-philosopher of Calypso, who reached back into the art form's past and drew deeply from the roots of African culture to inspire it with new relevance, creativity, and musicality. Celebrated by his fans as King David, the Calypsonian chose to break sobriquet tradition by presenting himself as simply David Rudder.
Jit Samaru lives in the valleys but has scaled the heights of steel band music and competition to write his name into the history books as the most successful arranger in the 50-year history of the Panorama competition.
Len Bugsy Sharp was child prodigy of the steel band, whose gifts for composing, arranging and performing have transformed the steel band movement. He started playing pan at the age of 4 and arranged his first piece of music at 10. At age 20, he launched his own band, which he has led to 6 Panorama Championship titles.
Anthony Williams is a scientist of the steel pan, whose innovations transformed the rhythm of the old ping-pong pan into the musical instrument now hailed as the only one invented in the 20th century. Among the pan pioneers, he stands tall for the revolutionary impact of his inventions on the development of the steel pan and the steel band.
Harold Laborde is a pioneering adventurer who lifted the hearts of all Trinidad and Tobago with his successful circumnavigation of the world in 1973. Pursuing a dream of Herculean proportions, he set sail from Trinidad in 1969 with his wife and 5-year-old son. Over a period of 4 challenging years, the family sailed around the world on the Hummingbird II, a vessel built by Harold Laborde's own 2 hands.
Hazley Joachim Crawford rose to the pinnacle of Olympic glory to become, after 3 decades, the only Trinidad and Tobago runner to win an Olympic gold medal. This outstanding triumph was achieved against a background of extraordinary odds.
Brian Charles Lara is a colossus of Test cricket who is regarded by many as the king of modern batsmen and embraced at home as the reigning Prince of Port of Spain. The impressive array of records he has held over the years is unlikely ever again to be broken by any one batsman.
Dwight Yorke's powerful foot and inspirational leadership, combined with the football artistry of Russell Latapy and the commitment of a talented team of soca warriors, propelled Trinidad and Tobago into football history as the first Caribbean country and the smallest nation ever to qualify for the FIFA World Cup.
I hope you have enjoyed this viewing as much as I did. Here we have seen 60 of our citizens who have made significant contributions and whose work have endured. We have taken the opportunity also to record some of their achievements and to give a little snippet of a biography of each one of the 60 from the various fields of endeavor that you have seen here. This is a wonderful little book celebrating the icons, and it is available free of cost from the Ministry of Planning, and we will seek to distribute them in the libraries through NALIS. We hope we have gotten a little insight through these snippets of the lives of these great men and women who have done so much and who have exhibited courage, who have shown endurance and commitment, and who have made such a significant difference to Trinidad and Tobago, our beautiful nation that we must continue to build. And this book is available to everyone for free. We are going to try to get them in our schools and through the libraries, through NALIS, but you can also get it on www.planning.gov, the website of the Ministry of Planning and Sustainable Development, Government of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you so much and good evening.